every day that you're going to find me liming in the cemetery, but it is the perfect space to talk to a man with decades of experience as a midnight robber. Fedon Honore, thank you very much for joining me. But I have to ask, how does one decide to become a midnight robber for 20 plus years?
So the answer is one does not decide. One is dragged by one's authority figure and told this is something you need to do and it's fun. And after a while, if you stick with it long enough, you'll realize, hey, they actually know what they're talking about. This thing is kind of fun. And yeah, pretty much that's how it started.
So who is the midnight robber?
Right. So the midnight robber is, for all intents and purposes, is a combination of a few things. The major influence seems to be the West African griot. So the griot would have been the storyteller whose job it was to basically write puff pieces for the chief. You know, tell you how great the chief is and what they do and where his ancestors come from and all of that. The interesting aspect there is where it became a first-person thing. It's no longer the griot talking about the king. Is the king the chief talking about himself, basically. The people who play in this mass are not chiefs. They're not anywhere close to it. So it's sort of in this narrative of reclaiming power to the powerless. The king becomes the pauper and the pauper could play the king.
There has to be one or two pieces that must be a part of your costuming to be a midnight robber. What are those pieces that we need to have?
All right. So most people, when you hear robber, they'll be, oh, the fella with the big hat. Yes, that is the big hat. The griot had a big hat, and I think that's where it originally came from. But yeah, so the big hat is the first one. That has a visual function, but it has a function as well. It's not just aesthetic, because it allows you to create space between you and the people you're trying to intimidate, right? Then you have the cape, all right? And again, maybe historically we're talking about what? Highway robbers, you know, cape and cowl conspiracy, all these kind of things. Those sort of shadowy, dubious figures always had extra cloth. Why? Maybe it just used to give them a mystique, you know? And then the third must-have, that is the whistle, the robber whistle. You don't start a robber speech just so you have to blow the whistle. In fact, you blow the whistle a lot before you even start to make speech. Why? Because you want to attract attention.
Now you mentioned the mass and the speech, and I needed to know what the speech entails. What is the message and why does he speak?
We come back to this idea of reclaiming power. The robber was I don't want to say it means to an end, but the end meaning that you could actually make some money, right? Same with the baby dolls, go and get your child support, and the Jamola do pay the devil. Well, yeah, the robber needed to get paid for his speech. But the thing is, you don't tell the robber you're paying him for his speech. What you're telling him is, I so frightened of you, and I will be willing to give you, is either my money or my life, so I will give you my money. That's the end now. So the start of it is, basically, who is you? Who is you? Who is you to stop me? Well, I go tell you who I is, right? I am the scourge of Mesopotamia. I am the reincarnation of Okanga Sera. I am the agent of Death Valley. What you do? Well, at the age of 1, I raided the Bank of Egypt. I turned the Sahara forest into a desert. You know, that kind of thing. Those things that make people frightened. And then third, because, you know, anybody could just get up and call themselves a bandit. But no, I have come from a long line of people who have essentially terrorized the free world, you know. This didn't start with me and it ain't going to end with me either. So you might as well understand what time it is. Those three things, kind of, you always get it in the speech.
I'm very intimidated right now. I barely want to ask you anything else. But it means that we need to think about the future. Because if you come from a long line of ancestry, you want to carry that on. So where do you see the future of the midnight robber?
Right. The robber has power because he has words. Yeah? And he always has something to say. And what does he talk about? He talks about threat, the idea of being threatened. It could be me physically or personally threatening you, but I could incarnate something that threatens everybody, right? And, you know, what's going on? Climate is changing. You know, we might have World War III coming on. We have plenty reasons. We are Corona. We have plenty reasons to be frightened, right? And that is what the robber allows us to do. It kind of puts a face on all these things, these existential threats. So I feel like if especially in a world where young people who may not feel like they have a voice, that is something that is definitely an interesting aspect of the robber going forward.
Well, I have real things to say. So what do you say about me learning to become a midnight robber?
I will be very happy to see that. I don't have a problem. We share the wealth.
I am Madame Carnival, the mistress of Bacchanal. At the age of 1, I come out to have my fun. By the age of 2, I do what revelers do. And at the age of 3, everybody knew me. I am the descendant of Mars and the oil drum and brass. And carnival time, I come to cause ruction wherever I pass.
That Got Carnival feature was brought to you by KFC, it's finger-licking good, Nestlé Nutri-Go, keep going, and Nestlé Flavoured Milks, till the last drop.
So, here you are, saving on the hotel room. We have a better idea. The GT bucket from KFC. 8 pieces of chicken and 1 bucket of fries for only $99. KFC, it's finger-licking good.